Good morning to one and all. Our today's topic is Chapter 5 What Lies Beneath. It was not taught before, but it is now in Unit Test 2 syllabus. So, before we start the chapter, we must know about archaeology, archaeologists, sociology, and few information about Egyptian civilization. As you all are not familiar with these words and its meaning, so you must have a knowledge about it. So, what is archaeology? Archaeology is the study of human activity through the recovery and analysis of material culture. The archaeological record consists of artifacts, biofacts, cultural landscapes. It can be considered both a social science and a branch of humanities. It is the study of human past. It looks at remains and objects left by the people who lived long ago. These remains may include old coins, tools, buildings, and inscriptions. Archaeologists use these remains to understand how people lived. Now, who are called archaeologists? An archaeologist is a person who studies ancient cultures by finding and examining articles found in the ground. Now, what is sociology? Who are called sociologists? Geologist. A person who studies the structure of the earth, they are called geologist. Now, I am giving you a short description about Egyptian civilization and culture. We must have a knowledge about it. Before we start the chapter, we must know few things about this chapter, what is given in this chapter and its civilization. Ancient Egypt was a civilization of North Africa concentrated along the lower reaches of the Nile River. Most of the Egyptians were farmers. Their houses were constructed of mud brick designed to remain cool in the heat of the day. Walls of the houses were painted white and could be covered with linen wall hangings. Floors were covered with reed mats. Beds raised from the floor. An individual table comprised the furniture. Music and dance were popular entertainment for them. A short description about Egyptian civilization. Now, in this story, it is a short interview about Frederick Hebert, who became a real-life archaeologist, and his favorite, what he discovered. In this story, we will get to know how Frederick Hebert became a real-life archaeologist and what did he discover. He always wanted to bring ancient times back and he tried to fulfill it. Now, in this chapter, in the left-hand side page number 76, there is some items are given and it is asked to write the name of the items that were found in the Egyptian civilization. Number 1, a large building with sloping sides that meet at one point at the top, and the answer would be pyramid. You can see number 1 picture, it is called pyramid. You might have seen pyramid, right? Number 2, a king in ancient Egypt. is called pharaoh. Number 3, a system of picture writing used by ancient Egyptian. Hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics, the system of picture writing used by ancient Egyptian. Number 3. Number 4, a stone statue of a creature with a human head and a lion's body found in Egypt, that is called Sphinx. And it is very popular in Egypt, Sphinx. Number 5, a preserved body of a person usually wrapped in bandage, that is mummy. This all information are given in your TLM, in your class notes. Please read everything, go through it. You will get all the information. Now, we must know about mummy. What is mummy? A mummy is the body of a person or an animal that has been preserved after death. It was an expensive process because this was done by bandaging the body with different kind of mixtures and chemicals. So only bodies of rich people were mummified. The mummies were buried in pyramids along with other valuable items. So now, start reading this chapter. I wasn't actually interested in archaeology. I think most people think that you were almost born to be an archaeologist. And I like to think that anybody who's played in a sandbox is a future archaeologist. Sandbox means testing environment. My own interests were different. I went to school. I thought I was going to be an artist and I was trained to draw. I loved drawing. I drew anything. I drew nature. I drew objects. And because of this, I was able to get my first job working on an archaeological excavation drawing artifacts. Excavation means the activity of digging the ground, looking for old buildings or objects that have been buried for a long time. Artifacts, that means objects of historical or cultural interest. I guess that is where the archaeology bug bit me, and I became really interested in the story behind the artifacts. So slowly I became more interested in the artifacts than I was in doing the drawing, but I have to admit I still do all the drawings on my own digs. So in this paragraph, at first, that Frederick Hibbert had interest in drawing. He got his first job working on an archaeological excavation, and the meaning of it just now I told, and he had to draw picture based on objects of historical and cultural interest. Now, what has been your favorite discovery? I was excavating a trade site on the Red Sea coast of Egypt. The reason people had built a town at this particular site was that it's a great trading place. It's a place where ships would come in, but it's so dry that everything's preserved. So when we excavated there, we found the house of merchant who had been living on the coast waiting for ships to come in. He had warehouses, and there were remains of many of the things that came in the left through the warehouses of this house. Warehouses means a building where large quantity of goods were stored. We were excavating this house and we finished the excavation. There was a reed mat in front of the house that was still preserved. So what is reed mat? Mats are produced by planting reed. Reed, that means plant that grows near water. That is called reed mat. This was about a 700 years old reed mat. And we were done with our excavations, and I had taken drawing. I had done drawing of the house and we had photographed it and thought Gee, it's a shame to leave this reed mat here on the ground. So I pulled it up and then we made a really interesting discovery. Underneath the mat was the house key the merchant had left 700 years ago. He had hidden his key underneath the doormat, thinking he would return one day, and it even had his name written on it. So what I told